Hi there, Shalon here with Bible Journaling Ministries. Today I wanted to show you how to create a tip-in your illustrating Bible, and we're going to be using the bonus kit for Ecclesiastes 3, 1, and 2. So if you're ready, let's get going. Okay, so what you will need for this to create a tip-in your illustrating Bible is a piece of cardstock that has been cut to fit into top and bottom into your illustrating Bible. You will have a little hang off here. It's not going to go all the way over to the edge. But that's okay. So you can start with any color of cardstock that you would like. You could do white. I'm using yellow. You could do white and use some gelatos or acrylic paints to do a background, however you'd like to do it. Now you will need a ruler. You will need a hole punch, either a paintbrush end as a handle for your washi tape, and I'll show you that, a pencil, some small scissors, and some wide washi tape. So I prefer to use the wider tape, washi, as opposed to the thinner, and as we go along in this process you will understand why the wider is better. So the first thing that you want to do is get your cardstock and cut it to fit your page. Now, the reason that I'm showing you this is because I have already journaled in my illustrating Bible a completely different verse that Ecclesiastes 3, 1 and 2 is on. So, I don't know about you, but I have often wondered how to create a tip-in for my illustrating Bible. And so that's why I wanted to show you this. So we're going to start by measuring from whichever edge that your tip-in will meet your coil here in the middle. So whether it's on this side, on the left side is where you will measure over a 1/2 inch, or if you're going to use it on a right side, then you would measure over a 1/2 inch from the right side. So I'm going to measure a 1/2 inch and take my pencil, and I'm just going to make a mark, and I'm going to do this at several points down my cardstock. Because I have a hard time drawing a straight line. Anyone else? So I'm going to use these little marks to make a straight line. That's a 1/2 inch from my left side. And I'm just going to take my ruler and line up my marks. Push this up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to line up my marks on the edge of my ruler, so then I can create a line that is a 1/2 inch from the side. I am going to lay this against the coils, and I'm just going to make little tick marks where each of the coils come through my page. So I'm just going to kind of where your coil is. And you'll do this all the way down the page. This is just a guide for you. Okay, so now I have my little marks where my coil is. Now I'm going to take my handheld hole punch and I'm just going to punch holes along these lines, making sure that I don't go past my 1/2 inch mark. And they don't have to be exactly on the line. Just don't go past the line. Try to get as close to that 1/2 inch line as you possibly can. So I've got a little bit off, as you can see. I'm going to take my small scissors and I'm just going to cut in the middle. I'm just going to snip to the middle of my circle. And you don't want to cut it all the way off. You're just cutting the paper through. So this one I accidentally got too close, so it's going to cut that off, as you can see. That's okay. We can deal with that. And I'll show you why in just a minute. So even if you're not necessarily cutting on your tick marks, cut to the center of your circle. So I got another one a little too close. That's okay. And remember, your pencil marks are just a guide. So now I have it, even though I've got two places that there is no piece of cardstock, that's okay. So I'm going to lay this, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm just going to put these little tabs, if you will. I'm going to use the end of my pencil to just push those through. Actually, I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush. Okay, so you're just going to put those in. Okay, so that one is a little bit off. You kind of have to, there. You might have to work your page up and down just to get those in there. Sometimes I can do this perfectly and sometimes I can't, and that's okay. It's a process. Okay, so now it's laid in there, and like I said, I just used the tip of my paintbrush to put those through. Now I'm going to hold on to the handle of my paintbrush. I am going to get my washi, and I want it to be longer than what I've cut my cardstock to be. I'm not going to lay it down. I'm just using this as measurement. I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm just going to very gently lay my washi on it, because I'm kind of using this as a reacher, if you will. So I'm going to slide my paintbrush in my coil. Now you don't want this to be stuck down. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush and then I'm going to lay this onto my cardstock just as close to the coil as I can get it. Just going to gently push it down. Okay, now I'm going to take my paintbrush off of my washi. I'm going to use it again to kind of smoosh it down onto the cardstock. And again, as close as I can possibly get it to the coil. Okay. Just going to try to push it down a little bit so that those little pieces of cardstock in between, like my little tabbies, catch. Now, I still have some hanging off at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to turn this over gently, okay, because you still want to get those pieces to kind of hang on to your washi tape. Okay, and then I'm going to take my piece and I'm just going to just fold it over at the bottom and at the top. Okay, now I'm going to repeat the process on the back side, this back side. So I'm going to pull a length of my washi tape. I'm going to stick it on to my paintbrush handle. You want to make sure that it doesn't get twisted up, but you have to be gentle because you don't want it like completely stuck to your paintbrush handle. Okay, and now I've pulled it through. I'm just going to lay it on top, and again I've got some hanging over the end here, and that's okay. I'm going to take it off of my paintbrush, lay it as close to the coil as I can. Kind of run my paintbrush as far down as I can. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm just going to kind of use my fingers and kind of get it to stick down there. But here at the top I have this tag or leftover, so I'm just going to try to bend it over and give that just a fold at the top. And try to lay it just as straight as I can. The good thing about washi tape is you can pull it up and try again. Okay. If you don't get it completely perfect, that's okay. You could I'll just bend that over, give it a little bit more stability there. I'm going to do the same thing here at the bottom. Okay, now I have a blank palette that is a tip-in into my illustrating Bible. And again, I have already journaled on this page a completely different scripture. So I'm going to grab my kit. And this is a beautiful kit. This is the first page here. It's got the bookmark and the scripture. It has kind of spring cleaning and the leaves and the flowers and the ladybug. The second page has your Faith Dex cards, as well as more elements, flags, and a washi. And then your third page has the larger elements for your illustrating Bible or any Bible that you so choose to use. And it's got a time to plant and then a time to pluck up, which is planted. And so because I do not have the scripture, it's covered over here. So I'm going to start with the scripture. And you can I don't know if you can see or not, but you still have your pencil marks, and that's okay. I'm just going to line this up right there by it, and as close to the top as I can get. Now I have my scripture verse. My focus verses. Now you could do hand lettering on this. You could use paints. You could use gelatos, markers, anything that you'd like. I just like the bright yellow, and so I am just using just plain cardstock in yellow, and I'm going to use the elements that I have printed on sticker paper and cut out with my Cameo to create my journaling page. I'm a lover of spring. I just love springtime, and springtime is my favorite. It just reminds me of how amazing God is when he wakes everything up and he brings things back to life, and it just makes me happy. I just really like this season. So this is a fun and cheery kit to be able to use. I'm going to use the words here. And how often do we as humans need the reminder from God that there's a time for everything, a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to mourn, a time to dance. Oh, and I pulled that right off. That's okay. I don't know how many of you watching are planters or gardeners. I love my gardens. And this year we are doing a very large vegetable garden, and I'm so excited about that. Oh, okay, here we go. Look, I did that on that tea too. That's okay. I can make it work. And this is it's just a neat way to use these kits, and it doesn't matter if you already have something on the page. I wanted to show you and share with you how you can still do a tip-in just like you would in your regular journaling Bible. You just don't have those extra steps to have to kind of create that to go along the coils. Okay. I really like that the gist of these verses are printed here for us to use. It is so helpful. If you're not a hand letterer, which sometimes I am and sometimes I am not. So I love these kits because they give you words. The kits include words. They include the scripture, obviously, here. And so it just makes it where you can just sit in God's lap and be with Him, thanking Him and loving on Him and letting Him love on you. Okay. So this page was easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I think I'm going to use these hearts. So journaling does not have to be necessarily time consuming or it's just so enjoyable. And sometimes we have to think outside of the box. If you're like me, I have lots of journaling Bibles, and so I've been doing this for quite a while, and a lot of the time I find that I have to do a tip-in because I've already journaled something either on the page or on the verse, something like that. So I enjoy doing tip-ins, and then I feel like I can create a little more and have a little more freedom with a blank slate. And I think I'm just going to leave that as it is. But I have created a colorful and bright tip-in for my illustrating Bible. And I still have the back side of it. So if for some reason I have another verse on this page, anywhere between Ecclesiastes 2 and 4, and I want to journal something else, I have the back of this tip-in to be able to use. So this is Ecclesiastes 3, 1 and 2. So I hope that you have enjoyed this, and if you have questions, put them in the comments and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. But I hope that you've learned how to create this interesting and helpful extra space for your illustrating Bible. I will see you again soon. Bye.